Welcome everyone to the Sages Retreat podcast and the wonderful experience of going back in time and seeing what happened during a period of our lives that we all enjoyed. Unlike, of course, the sad, depressive, post-apocalyptic nonsense which is currently 2021. This is episode 37 and today is a Back in Time special. This year sees myself in my mid-20s and Nathan was just crawling out of nappies and just happy to be wearing his big boy pants. The year, if you didn't know already by the thumbnail, which you clicked on, as the thousands of viewers do, it is 2005 and the month we are looking at is February. This was suggested by Nathan, so if you don't like this year and this particular month, well, Nathan's the man to pick on. I think they're all valid, and there's always something hidden in there that we can find. How you doing, Nathan? You all right?
Yeah, I'm very good. Very good to be remembering 2005.
How old are you? 2005.
I would have been 19. I was 19 in the January. Yeah.
Whoa, 19. That's a good age to be. I was like, so you have you had your first? Did you have your son? Yes, I was just trying to think. Did you have your son by that age? You were like,
I would have. Yeah, I would have had a 1-year-old.
Yeah, little Lewis. Yeah, you were super early, weren't you, with him?
Yeah, I like to get it out of the way.
Just
get it done.
Do you want a kid? Yeah, no. Well, just doing it anyway. Yeah. So you were super. I hung on till I was like 21, I believe I was. Yeah, I think I was 21, and I think it was like the month later that Amy was born. I think that's right. You know when you're thinking about dates and years and months, it's like, you get that blur, and it's like, I know I'm nearly right. I think that was about right. So yeah, I would have been 2005. I would have been about 25-ish. Like, I'm not trying to figure it out exactly. I would have been 24 or 25. I think I was 25 to be fair. What was I doing? I was living in an old coal mining village at the time, which there's plenty of around. You bet there's loads of old mining places around your end, isn't there? And there is around here. There's many abandoned. So when a mine would open, very locally, the company would buy out some land, and they'd have like hundreds and hundreds of terraces, and like a community centre, a church, a pub, and a school. And I lived in one of those villages for I'm going to roughly say 6 years. It was fine, but because a lot of them are quite isolated from like the bigger areas, because it's like, we've found some coal, and it's like, we'll just do it here. Sometimes it was separated from the more mainstream sort of towns and cities. Some of them have ended up being a bit rough, and this was the case for this place. There was a bit, because a lot of them got turned into like big council estates. So there's a lot of rough elements that were there. It had its prime, and then it kind of dipped. And when we lived there, it wasn't too bad. But when we moved out, apparently it got a lot worse. But it was fine. It was an interesting experience. If you wanted to do your shopping, you needed a car or a bus, or the train. The train station was very close. We had a great link into the city centre, or we could go to Mansfield. We were in like sort of in the middle. We could go into Nottingham or Mansfield. So if you wanted a change of scenery. There wasn't necessarily anything really different at Mansfield. It was just the fact that it was somewhere different that you could have a walk around. And I could quite like some parts of Mansfield. It's not too bad. I don't know if you know Mansfield or have ever been to Mansfield. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but it is a place that exists.
I'm sure I've drove through there. I'm sure I've been through there. I don't think I've ever stopped there though.
What were you doing when you were 19 other than holding a baby?
I was, funnily enough, living literally 2 minutes from where I live now, which is like sort of complete massive circle background. But I was living just down the road. It was my first proper house.
Yes.
I had moved out before. I moved out when I was 16, 17. But it was more like shared accommodation and this was like my first adulting experience.
Good Lord, and is it scary moving into your own place?
Yeah, it was, and it was good. I fell into it pretty quick. I fell into being a dad pretty quick as well. So.
Yeah, me too. I fell into being a father very quickly. It was very easy. I found it for some people, it really scares them up. I found the holding, the feeding, everything else. It was very natural. I kind of although I hadn't really grown up around smaller kids, it just felt like this is mine, and I'm going to look after it. And Karina was very good with babies and just looking after him. She'd helped look after her sort of little brother, so she kind of knew what to do anyway. And yeah, we just got on with it. We were quite young, and not as young as you, but you've either got it or you haven't. I suppose it's a weird thing to say, but some people having a child young destroys them because they still want to go out every time, all the time. They want to be doing their own thing all the time, and sometimes that's just when you got a baby. When you got a baby, you ain't got a life. I'm sorry, not for a bit. You have to figure that out. You have to work. You have to work it out, don't you? And eventually, you do eventually get there. But yeah, 2005. I say the number, and I think it was like a few years ago, but no, it was like 15 years ago, 16 years ago. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I got very vivid memories of the year 2000, mainly because of the whole thing about the Y2K book. But then I'm like, 2005, that's closer. But still so far away, isn't it? Still so far away. I had 2005, I had 2 children. And February would have been 2, but then a few months later it would have been, because Paige was born in 2006. So it would have been like the next pregnancy was on the horizon. But 2. Definitely should have stopped at 2. Someone's going to hear that. I'm looking around. I'm going to end up with something on the side of the head. I always joke and say that 2 is the perfect number. I think in some ways it is, but we just carried it on, didn't we? Right. So we're going to have a little look at films first, and the first film there was a few films. There's always a fair few films, but it was February, and obviously there's, it's after Christmas, isn't it? So you've had all your big films come out, at the end of would have been the end of 2004, pushing on to 2005, and we have some ones that for some reason they weren't good enough to be Christmas films. So they ended up being here. Have you seen the first film on the list, and what do you think? Would you like to give us a bit?
I've seen this. I think I've still got it on DVD, actually. I know it wasn't one of the most well-received films, but it's actually one of my favourite films. I'll always watch it if it's on the TV. It's Constantine. The Keanu Reeves and Shia LaBeouf, and I forget the name of the woman who's in it, but she's,
Rachel Weisz. Rachel
Weisz of the Mummy fame.
And I've got it in the notes as well. If you've actually looked at it, it's in the notes there. So.
Oh, I didn't look that far down.
Okay, right. Rachel Weisz. So she was in The Mummy. I was trying to think what she's been in, and I was like, you immediately said like Mummy, and I'm like, what was she in? So I had a look, and I'm like, oh yes, of course she was in The Mummy and Mummy Returns, but she was also in Black Widow, the new Black Widow film. She plays she plays quite a significant character in that, and a brilliant character. And looking at her, I was like, when I was watching Black Widow, I was like, oh, I know her, and I had to look it up because she's a little bit older. She looks very similar, but at the same time, because she hasn't done lots of big films, so she kind of slips through that net a little bit. But yeah, Rachel Weisz, good actress, solid. Shia LaBeouf was great, fantastic in this film. He was. I'm not sure in terms of how much of it, how early on he was in it. In his career, at what point it was in his career, but I thought he played a fantastic character. So you like Constantine?
Yeah. I know they made a series and they're on about rebooting the film. I don't know if they're thinking about getting Keanu Reeves back.
He's actually very recently, 2019, said that he's up for revisiting the character.
I think he played it really well. He's got that sort of like moody, brooding sort of
thoughtful,
detective-esque.
Yeah, he's solid. I think he's a great actor, to be honest. I mean, I know he's not everyone's. He's not everyone's like Tom Cruise or whatever. Because a lot of people love him, but you look at the John Wick stuff and then some of Keanu Reeves' older stuff. I think he nails a lot of stuff. Constantine, I thought it was brilliant. It's described as what was it? I found it was a perfect description of it. It was something like superhero horror film. It also had Tilda Swinton in it, who's been in quite a lot. She was in some of the Avengers stuff. She played oh good lord, what's the wizard guy? Doctor Strange. She was she was like his teacher, the bald woman. That was Tilda Swinton. She was in that as well. Although I can't remember what she played. I need to jog my memory on that one.
She's the bald woman. Who teaches him.
No. I'm on about in Constantine, not in.
In Constantine. She plays Gabriel, the angel woman.
Oh.
Spoilers, but it's her that's sort of behind it all. And she gets her wings burned off at end.
Right. Okay. Rings a bell now you said it. The budget for this film, yeah.
Yeah. It's a big one. I mean, looking at it, 70 to 100 million for the budget.
Special effects, isn't it? It's like you've got you've got Keanu Reeves as your big money on it, and the other lots are just not a lot. And then, but 70 to 100 million. That was a rough figure they got for it. But box office wise, I mean,
yeah, it did. It's all over doubled at 230 million. I mean, to say it was a not very well received. I mean, that's quite a decent amount of budget, especially for 16 years ago. So box office thingy compared to budget. So
trailer would drag you in on that film, though, wouldn't it? You saw that trailer, you'd be like, I want to see that film. It looks good. It's Keanu Reeves in it. This is coming off the back of The Matrix as well. There was a lot of reviews saying that it came off as dreary, but I'm like, it is a dark, gloomy, dreary. For me, it doesn't even feel derogatory. It just feels like a way of describing sort of like the atmosphere of it. It is about suicide. So he plays he's a supernatural exorcist and demonologist. That would be a great on a business card. John Constantine helps a policewoman prove her sister's death was not suicide, but it was something else. Of course, there's a lot to do with the Catholic Church in there, and then you've got all the demons, and then you've got. I genuinely think it's a very good film, and in fact, I feel like I need to revisit it. You don't hear it mentioned a lot, but Constantine. The IMDb score for this one was 7 out of 10. I think that's pretty decent. If I'd made the film, if it was 7 out of 10, I'd be like, I'm good with that. The Rotten Tomato score was more interesting. The critics only give it 46%, but the audience were like, hold up, 72%. And I was like, that's a good score. 72's it's a solid. It's solid. And there was always on about making a sequel, but they never got round to it. But like I say, it was only recently that they've toyed with the idea of making a sequel. I had a look to see if there's any fun information about it, and the only goof that I thought was interesting is when John is talking on his cell phone to Beeman, the line goes dead, and you hear a dial tone, but cellular phones do not have dial tone. So it was like, but they obviously have the special effect in to key when it's happening. It's like boop, and without that, you wouldn't know. It would just be silent, wouldn't it? So that's obviously why they do that. But Constantine, solid film. Great actor. Do you want to bring on the next one, or?
Yeah, this is a film that I hate. Not because the actual film, but it's because we had this on DVD and I went through a culling about 8 years ago where I sold a load of DVDs on eBay and I could not shift this one for the life of me. The film's not too bad. It's Hitch starring Will Smith. But the DVD, if you've got it, don't even try and sell it. Nobody's going to buy it. I tried my hardest for years and it just would not shift. But it's a typical rom-com. There's a couple of bits I can remember from it, like when he gets his... I don't know if he has an allergic reaction or he gets stung by a bee or something.
Yeah, he's allergic to shellfish.
Oh yeah, that's it. Jade loves the film. If I didn't watch it again, I'd be fine.
Okay,
but-
so my household and your household is the same with this film.
Hmm.
Karina really likes it. But women, of course, they tend to like rom-coms a little bit more than men. There's a few rom-coms that I watch and I'm like, and someone's like, "That's a rom-com," and I'm like, "Is it?" And I'm like, "Oh, I guess so." But I like the rom-coms when it doesn't come across as a rom-com, if that makes sense. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 55 to 70 million at the bottom. To make this film, and 371 million at the box office. Of course, people are going to go in for Will Smith. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So Will Smith film, I think it's one of his poorest films that he's made.
Yeah.
I don't say it was a bad choice, but this was not long after, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I think he was still quite young, so he's still playing around with stuff. I'm not sure what film we did previous to this. I should have maybe had a look, but
I think maybe I, Robot or something like that. I'm trying to think. Oh, I Am Legend, is that
I Am
around the
Legend,
same time?
I'm sure that was about 2007. I could be wrong, but I think I Am Legend was after this. So, yeah, 371 million at the box office. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But if you compare it to Constantine, Constantine was 230. So it's not a million miles away. It's not like a massive difference. But the fact is, people are going to go for the rom-coms, aren't they? The girls are going to be like, "Yeah, let's go see Will Smith," and then the men will be like, "Yeah, we'll go see Will Smith." Whatever. Described as a smooth-talking man that falls for a hardened columnist. Oh yeah, because she's like some proper stuck-up bitch, isn't she? Who's like proper critical of everything. Because he's got his sidekick. Of course, he's Kevin James. And he's famous for the Paul Blart Mall Cop. And I haven't seen those. And I'm not going to let anyone tell me to watch them. I've no interest in them.
No. King of Queens, if you've seen that, is in that.
Is it? Right, okay, might have to look at that one. But yeah, I'm ignoring the I remember seeing the trailer and thinking, it looks quite funny. But I also remember seeing the trailer and thinking, I think I've seen all I want to see of that. And I'm not even.
Yeah.
If I've ever seen it on like a streaming service, I'll be like, no, I'm still not convinced me to put that. What was that noise?
That was the dog. Decided to growl.
Oh, I love it. IMDb, we're looking at 6.6 out of 10. I think that's reasonable. I remember watching it and quite enjoying it. But do I want to watch it again? Pretty much not really. The Rotten Tomato was 69 and the audience was 62, so sort of similar. Will Smith was in it, and what I wrote was, ooh baby, Eva Mendes was in it, and she hasn't been in a lot, but people just remember her. They think she's been in more than what she has. She was in Too Fast, Too Furious, Ghost Rider. I don't remember her in Ghost Rider. She was in Training Day. I love Training Day. I don't know if you've seen Training Day. Absolutely amazing film. And then, of course, Kevin James. They were the main three in that. Everyone else was just pretty much a nobody. The goof for this one was at the end of the film during the dance sequence. The onlookers are clapping completely out of sync, like with the hand claps that are heard on the soundtrack. I've never noticed that, but they probably did it and were just like, "There's no way we can sync this up." As someone that's had to sync audio to video, I imagine they'd be looking at it just going, "Yeah, do you want to try this?" And then someone else has tried it and just gone, "No, it's just a mess. Whatever, we'll just do it anyway." So yeah, there was a few bits and bobs, but I thought that was the more interesting one. So the next film, you like The Mask. You like The Mask film.
I liked it when I was a child, and we've tried to watch it with the kids recently, and it's not aged well.
No, it hasn't. I watched it the other week.
No.
You've nailed it. That description.
Yeah.
It was so popular. When it was out. Everyone loved it. I remember people going on and on and on about it, and the catchphrases, "Somebody stop me," and all the rest of it. There was everyone had this stupid catchphrases that were coming out with because it was brilliant. But I watched it recently, and like you just said, it didn't age, did it?
No. I found it a bit boring. It's good to watch Cameron Diaz, but that's about it.
No, she's the worst bit in it. She's not a good actress. No, she just walks around grinning.
Yeah.
Like, look at this. Look at this. This is tight dress number 7 I'm wearing, and she wasn't interesting. If anything, I'm going to say I think she ruined it. I think she was the worst part of it. The best part was the dog. The special effects were, like, if you look at the mass, the special effects were okay. They had that cartoon, because they kind of had that cartoony element, which, so you kind of accepted. It was like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You know how you had that? It was, you knew it wasn't real. It was different, so you accepted it. You weren't critical of it. But yeah, Cameron Diaz just walked around like an idiot. In fact, there was a reporter woman in it that was not a love interest, but she was really interested in Jim Carrey's character. And the ending should have been with her and not Cameron. It's just absolute waste. But I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you talk about this next film, which okay, I'm going to start with one thing. They wanted Jim Carrey to be in The Mask 2, so a second Mask film. He turned around and said no. They offered him 10 million to do it. He turned around, he went, no, I do not want your $10 million. Right? Imagine being able to say that. No, I don't want your $10 million. Because after he'd done Ace Ventura and Nature Calls, which was the second Ace Ventura film, I liked Nature Calls more than the first one, actually. He decided that doing sequels did not stretch him as an actor. They didn't push him. They didn't test him. And you know what? I respect that. And also, sometimes sequels are shit, aren't they? But I thought, to be fair, Nature Calls, I think that's better than the original one. Go for it. This brilliant film.
Yeah, one of the best films, a cinema masterpiece. Some might not say.
Never.
Son of the Mask. It is god awfully terrible. You said you'd not seen it, didn't you?
Never seen it. No, but I think that's part
never watch it.
No. I think part of the reason I haven't seen it is because I didn't really have an interest in The Mask until, like I say, I only saw it recently. So I think if I'd have seen The Mask, maybe I'd be like, oh, I'm going to watch Son of the Mask as well. But because I hadn't, I just never did. And I've no interest in watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe if Jim Carrey had been back in it, it might have, well, hopefully it would have been a little bit of a different story, and it wouldn't have been as hammy, and the special effects are awful on it. They're worse than the Mask ones, which is weird to say. It's like, when were the first film, like 94, 95 or something? It's like 10 years have passed, and it's awful. Jamie Kennedy is probably one of the worst people in the world, and he makes this film 10 times worse. He already makes a turd that much stinkier.
Oh, The Mask was 1994.
No, so like 11 years.
Yeah.
Wow. And the special effects in the first one are better than this one. This is like, you know, when you see some, like, I'll use Frozen as an example. You get like Disney or Pixar, whatever's like Frozen, and then you get some like weird knockoff version that's like some dodgy animators made in a thing. It's like that version of The Mask. It just looks terrible. Like I said, Jamie Kennedy's awful in it. He's from Scream. If you ever watched Scream, is the one with does the rules.
Oh,
he's
okay.
The one who's like, yeah, you could no sex, no alcohol or whatever. I can't remember what the rules are for it, but
The Mask was 23 million. Its budget, by the way, the original Mask.
And it's got better special effects than this stinker of a budget at 84 to 100 million. I don't know what they spent it on.
4 times as much. The only interesting actor they had was maybe Alan Cumming, I don't know, but like Bob Hoskins played Odin. I didn't realise that that mask was actually Loki's mask. I've only just discovered that today, only because I've been reading up on it on here. But yeah, this cost 84 to 100 million, but at the box office, everyone's thinking, what did it make?
Yeah. It made all its money back, of course, at 59 million. So that made a massive drop. That did not do well at all.
The only thing with it being in 2005 is that there's 2 revenues of income for films that release. You have your cinema box office release, and then like a year later, probably, I'm not sure about 2005, but you'd have your DVD release. So once it gets, so you kind of get this second Matt Damon was on about it recently in an interview. He said films nowadays have basically the risk is you only tend to see really big films come out or really, really cheap films. There's that middle ground where they think it could be good, so they want to promote it. But the problem is they don't have the double revenue on it because you get your box office, and once you're doing your box office, your revenue's pretty much gone. Other than a very small amount of people that might buy it on Blu-ray. But it goes to streaming, and they don't make a lot of money off streaming. So, cinema, in the same way that Blockbuster has been savagely murdered, the revenue for films is also kind of down because of streaming. So, streaming's killed everything. What's this about? It is.
We have to wait and see what comes next.
Maybe we need to get
what kills streaming.
What's after streaming? I mean, I reckon that's the be all and end all, and it's streaming. It's instant when you want it, isn't it? You pay for it, you get it. Who knows? Maybe streaming will become one of those things that people hate eventually because, like, you can't. What do you have? Originally, you'd have Netflix or Love Film, and they'd have a lot of very good quality films. But now everyone's bringing out their own streaming service, and you don't want to have 7 streaming services that cost more than your original. I know the Americans got like cable. You'd have we'd have like your Sky or your Virgin package. It costs like upwards of £50 a month. But yeah, it's just stupid, isn't it? So Son of the Mask made 59 million at the box office, pretty much flopped. Tim Avery, an aspiring cartoonist, finds himself in a predicament when his dog stumbles upon the mask of Loki. Then, after conceiving an infant son, born of the mask, he discovers just how loony child raising can be. Obviously, that's funny. It's a massive flop. It basically killed the Mask franchise, and that's why nothing's been made since. I mean, I'm not saying that they couldn't. They could probably bring it back. People love that, love all that shit. Why not bring it back? But yeah, it totally turned down. Also, Jack Black was offered money to be in it, and he also said no, thank you. The goof for could he have saved it?
Do you know? I'm not a big Jack Black fan, but I think he would have done a better job than Alan Cumming because as Loki with curtains. Alan Cumming was not very good in this film. Maybe Jack Black's energy might have made it a bit more funner. But...
He's got a bit of a bubbly personality. I think he might be able to have brought it out of the. Maybe he could have at least made the money back. The goof I found on this one is when Tim plays Mario Kart Super Circuit. The sound effects are from a totally different game. That would have broke it for me. If you're watching something and you hear and you go, that's not from that, I think that would have been a very odd one. 2 other films which released that I wanted to mention were Ong Bak, 2005, as a martial arts film. Found that was interesting because it was very kind of brutal and different. It brought something different to the screen. I won't go on too much. Jet Li, a martial artist who's been in a lot of films. Unleashed, Morgan Freeman was in this one. Although I haven't wrote any information about it, this was probably one of the last films that he was in. Because Jet Li basically, he gave up on films at a certain point. I think he became quite ill as well. So this is probably one of those last sort of big films that came out and was any good. I should say was definitely any good. I think that's it for the films. Do you want to hit it off with what games we got? Go for it.
Yep, we've got some, I would say, quite good games. There's 2 on the list that I know to be very good games. I played most of these. But we'll start off with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. Nearly didn't say that right. The Sith Lords, which is famous for the fact that it was rushed out like a year after the first one, and so a lot of content was cut. But if you were to purchase it now, because PC Gamers have actually restored it all, there's a mod that you can get from Nexus Mods. I think you can actually get it on Steam as well, and it'll replace all the cut content. And for anyone who hasn't played it, go and play this game because it's like Mass Effect but Star Wars and 10 times better. It's just so good because you can be a droid. and you can be a Jedi or a Sith.
Does it hold up? Does it hold up now? Can you still kind of jump on and play it? Is it?
I think you'd need a special appreciation just in case, but
yeah,
I would say so. The graphics, from what I remember, are not terrible.
If that story can grab you, maybe it's worth sort of dipping in. It's like,
yeah. I mean, it's quite. I don't think it's canon anymore. I think it was canon, and Disney took it out when they bought it.
It don't matter, does it? Disney fucked up Star Wars anyway. So I mean, was it? You just take it, enjoy it. Don't worry about its canon sort of relation to the rest of the Star Wars universe. But yeah, so Star Wars Knights of the Republic 2, Sith Lords. Right, okay.
Yeah, that's one that everyone should play. We've got Constantine the game. I haven't played this. I think I remember something about it, seeing it, not anything specific. But it's a movie tie-in, so it's mid-2000s, so it's probably
going to be shit, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be shit. Just hit it.
Yeah.
Just say it as it is. It's a movie tie-in. Very rarely does a game that attaches itself to a film be any good. You know, it's just going to be him running around talking to people and shooting people, and yeah, that's about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would they have given it? I mean, what was Constantine? 15 rating, 18, maybe probably 15.
Yeah, 15, I'd say.
Yeah, so I mean, they probably have to cut sort of stuff out. You couldn't make it what you want it to be. I'll mention FIFA Street. I mean, I'm not a big football fan, but I did play quite a lot of FIFA with Crean when I was younger. FIFA Street was an attempt to make it like cool, so it was like out the pitch and it was out in the street. In it, bro. I don't know if they said that in 2005, but we'll roll with it. I remember it. I think it had like a bright yellow something on the front. Never played it though. I do know it was popular, but I don't think the FIFA Street offshoot of the FIFA franchise really made it through too far. Gran Turismo 4. So Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec was the big one, which was super popular, super good, kind of like realistic. And I looked at it recently. I was like, it's not exactly how I remember it, but it was very good. And 4 came off that. It was like the same, but it wasn't. The impact was less because obviously 3 was so good. Is there any others of those games which you wanted to mention?
Yeah, we've got Star Wars Republic Commando. This is the other one. It's fondly remembered. I'm sure that the servers are still actually going for this one.
Maybe
for multiplayer, and it's had a couple of iterations after. It's a game I never really played. I wanted to. I can remember seeing it all advertised in magazines and on the internet and stuff, and I really wanted it because you take the role of like Republic Commando, and it's like stormtroopers coming around and stuff. It's just really good. I don't think the graphics hold up very well today.
No, I'm looking at some screenshots now, and quite frankly, it looks it. You know what it looks like when they started to do like 3D stuff, and they tried to make it look realistic, but it didn't quite get there. But I do know it was massively popular when it came out, and I think it's held in very good regards. This game is. It just looks good, even just now. Looks it. I don't know. Did they ever do like another one, or did they want to do another one?
They wanted to. I don't know if they did. I've got a feeling that there's some controversy around it. But I can't actually remember what it is. I don't know whether they lost the rights to it or they brought it out, or
maybe
I can't remember. You know. But it were a really good game, and it was one I always wanted to play. But I think with the age, 16 years now, I don't think it's worth me going back to play because I've got no nostalgia not playing it really.
No, I've not got a love for it. Tekken 5 came out. Everyone that's a Tekken fan will probably love it. Tekken's great. Tekken's not my fighting game of choice. Although I do know our friend Sam loves Tekken and she considers herself the Tekken queen. So I'm assuming that either means she is really good or she's got one character that she knows if she bashes buttons she kills people, like knocks people out all the time. So could be that. But I'm assuming that she's got a few characters that she's good with. Because she's more of a gamer than a button basher. Tekken, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, I believe that was a very cartoony one that not everyone liked. It was just an attempt to keep Street Fighter going. like say Star Wars Republic Commando. Also, a game that you didn't. I'm disappointed you didn't mention, but it's a Winnie the Pooh Rumbly Tumbly Adventure came out. Why didn't you mention that? Did you feel it wasn't worth it?
The wounds are still too fresh, and it's too much trauma from that game.
Could you not afford it at the time, or is it just the game itself? Yeah,
it's just a roller coaster of emotion, that game. All Winnie the Pooh's got a rumbly tumbler, so
just constantly hungry, and it's like when
just
you're hungry, you're done, aren't you? You don't want anything to do with life. All you want is food. Is this the one where he used to savagely attack and kill Tigger, and he just killed them all? Eeyore, just like ate them.
Yeah, I mean, he eats them and then he gets the powers, so he gets like his Tigger's bouncy tail.
Yeah.
Rabbit's ears, so he can hear Piglet's whininess, Eeyore's depression. Yeah,
slow cooked Piglet, like on a spit. Like,
yeah.
Oh, God.
So it stops the rumbly tumbler for a while.
Jesus Christ. That's our games that we found for this particular month. Not a bad selection of games. I think the games may be slightly better than the films, other than Constantine, which was a standout for the films. Music.
I did just. Oh God! I was going to say I've just googled the Constantine game. It got average to mixed reviews, and it did look alright. But
Oh, okay, interesting. Music that was at number 1 in February. We've got 4 songs. Elvis. What was he doing around in 2005? It's now or never. I mean, so I've listened to each of these songs before. She is so noisy today. What is she doing?
It's because nobody's took her for a walk. I think that's the issue. But,
so yeah, Elvis It's Now or Never was in the charts for some reason. I don't know if it was I think there was a re-release of an album or something, and this was one of the songs. I think it might have been something to do with that. Eminem liked Toy Soldiers. Not a bad song, crap video, typical 2005 video, but actually not a bad song. Maybe one of Eminem's last decent songs, because he kind of vanished for a few years, and then he came back with a dyed beard and just slagging off Donald Trump, which personally I think, my opinions on Donald Trump aside, I'm not mass favour, don't worry, but I think that musicians and stuff to just shut their mouths. They can alienate a lot of their fan base. Whether they care, I don't know. You leave them to it. U2, Sometimes You Can't Make It on Your Own. I listened to that. Do you remember that?
I don't even remember that song.
No,
I quite like U2.
Me neither. I was like, what is this? The one thing I do like is this mix of music. We've got old school kind of rock and roll but that kind of soul kind of Elvis song. We've got Eminem with his rap sort of song, but going over to like pop, obviously, because as all people do, they eventually wander into pop. U2 with their like soft rock kind of approach, and then you got Jennifer Lopez with Get Right. And I was thinking, which one is it? And I listened, and my opinion, I know Elvis is a classic, and he's always going to get them bangers, but for this month, the Jennifer Lopez song "Get Right" was the best of the 4, in my opinion. But I always sway towards R&B, hip hop anyway, you know that. But I do like. I was like, yeah, this is a good one. This is one of those good songs. Great, a great number 1. Go for the news.
Right. So, strangely enough, the platform we are actually coming into your eyes.
One of our platforms that we use. Yes.
Yeah.
The giant, which is sorry, I'm rudely interrupting. Carry on.
Like not Spotify, funnily enough, because everyone was using MP3 players at this time, or portable CD players. YouTube was created, so we get YouTube, and I wasn't YouTube affiliated or anything then. Back in 2005, much too early for me in my internet days. I didn't really start using the internet until early 20s, but I've seen screenshots of how it used to look, and it looked like a 1995 website, like, if you can remember how they looked.
A what?
Like a website from like 1995, like a...
Oh, yes.
It was very old school. It was the graphics, if you can call them graphics, the look of it is terrible, but obviously it's the biggest streaming internet platform for user-created content that there is. I know there's been a couple of other ones over the years that's come and gone, but YouTube stuck around, and it's obviously the most popular one. And now everybody knows when it was created because we've just told everyone. Back in 2005, February.
Yeah. There's a timeline of events for and 2005 is right there, but then July we have other stuff on here like HTML embedding, so you can have a website with showing a YouTube video on there, a top videos page. Oh, so this is all 2005 was the 5-star rating system. You used to be able to rate videos and they got rid of that playlist in October. Full screen view was only introduced in October 2005. Like you could watch a tiny, but it's like nope, we can have it now. Funnily enough, July 2010 was actually 4K video, believe it or not. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I just spotted it just there. I'm not going to go into other stuff, but October 2014 was 60 FPS. So, wow. I'm not the biggest fan of. I'm fine with like 24 frames. It's fine. And then October 2005 also was subscriptions. So. To be fair, that's all you need. Full screen, playlist, subscriptions. I mean, what else do you need, to be fair? 10-minute
to
video.
Subscribe to us. That's what we need to do.
Exactly. Video responses, cell phone uploading. It's all happening in 2006. Wow, that may be another time. But, YouTube, 2005. I think that's quite a big piece of entertainment, sort of networking, social media type of news there. The more important of the three that we've got, if you don't mind, I'll mention the second one. So they're always on about trying to transport oil from one place to another, and in America, this was to do with America, Canada, was got the Keystone pipeline was proposed, and funnily enough, I wasn't going to put it in, but I was thinking, I'm sure something, it was twigging, and so I looked it up, and it was very recently to do with Biden. It's actually been cancelled. So from 2005, the idea was proposed, but it was only recently cancelled this year, and only 8% of it was ever constructed. So I don't even know let's be honest, what were they fucking about at for this amount of time? Just people just standing in the way, just going, no, you're not doing it, which I think probably would have been happening anyway, because, the risk of transporting oil over land is the fact that sometimes you get leaks, sometimes it degrades, it breaks, you get a massive hole in your pipe, which just sounds wrong in itself, but this is going over land, and it messes it up. A lot of the, what do they call them, I'm trying to get this politically correct, the First Nation people, the Native Americans, we don't call them Indians anymore because it's not India, but the First Nation tribes over there, they've all been like, they always push against this stuff. I mean, let's be honest. If the trying to think how to put it. If it was right, then the First Nation tribes would have a solid say in this anyway. Because let's be honest, it's kind of like their land in a way. They were invaded, weren't they, and just pushed around. I think they should have a very important say in this. But yeah, it was basically cancelled, and probably a waste of millions, if not billions of dollars, which could have gone to a nice health service, or possibly helping, your education system, or maybe even the homeless. Would you like to mention the third bit of news?
Yeah, everyone's favourite country, North Korea.
North Korea. North Korea is best Korea. That's what it is.
Yep. It announces it has nuclear weapons to protect itself from America. Now, if I remember correctly, wasn't this a load of tosh? Didn't they say they had these weapons and they just don't have these scientists to make them or something? But they were just saying they had them. That's my recollection of it.
I mean, the problem with North Korea is a lot of it's bullshit in it. I mean,
yeah.
But they have a lot of ties with like Russia, don't they? So North Korea was like, when Korea was basically split in two, Russia kind of like took over that top end of Korea, whereas the the South Korea was obviously fully westernized, and it's like one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world now. They have like you want to download Red Dead in South Korea, you just, as soon as you think of it, it's on your PC. It's their internet is that fast. North Korea, most of the people don't even know what internet is, or anything else, or even anything outside of North Korea. You watch any interviews. I've listened to an interview very recently from someone that escaped from North Korea, and it was very interesting. Very, very interesting. I think, someone like, I don't know who, is it Kim Il-sung who's in it at the moment? The fat dude. I can't remember the terrible haircut. I can't remember his name. Imagine if you was him and you got into power. You could think to yourself, you know what? I'm going to sort this place out. And you could put efforts in and literally save the whole country.
Yeah.
Just millions of starving people over there. And just sort it out. They're not allowed to own land. They're not allowed to there's so much that goes off over there. So North Korea basically turned around and went, America, we have nuclear weapons and we're not afraid to use them. Of course they are. They wouldn't. They would not dare to lob a nuke. That's if it'd even reach, because they were speculating, saying that the nukes wouldn't even reach America. So just sort it out. I think as a country, sorry, let me rephrase it. As a planet, I think we should all just agree. Just go. Can we just go and sort North Korea out? Can we just get in there? Just get rid of all the leadership, and we'll just sort it out. Why not? I think we owe it to them, don't we?
Yeah, I think you need to spearhead this. You need to get a petition started and a GoFundMe. I'm
gonna send a few letters. Biden, Boris,
Putin,
that French dude with the really old wife who's president, Macaroon over there. Maybe he's got like a really large supply of croissants they could send over. That could sway them. They could be like, shit, these croissants, woo, what's going off in France? The Italians could have like lots of like pizza, get that over there as well. They'd be like, what, tomatoes? What are they? Cheese? What's cheese? Cows? What's cow?
I think they'd be more likely to say food. What the fuck is that?
Food?
Yeah.
Wait, we're not scavenging for insects today. No, we've got a double pepperoni stuffed crust fucking pizza. Woof. Yeah, I think eating a whole pizza would probably kill them, though, wouldn't it? But I don't think they know quite what's going off there. Yeah, sort of shit out. The whole world, I think, should just literally save North Korea. Just do it. Just literally just wait on the outside and just go, put your guns down. Because we're coming in. We're just coming in. We're going to sort you out, yeah? Just whatever. Not nuke them, that's harsh. But just sort them out. I bet half them soldiers don't even want to do it anyway.
Yeah.
You listen to the interviews of people and they're just like, yeah, we just have to. We just have to do it. And if we, fight in the wrong direction, we just, all our families and our future families all just get locked up. And yeah, it's terrible. But that is pretty much, I think, February 2005. Yes. Are you happy with 2000? How do you feel about February 2005? You picked it. How do you feel? What stood out today?
Well, the reason I picked it was I plucked it out of thin air.
I did put you on the spot, didn't I? I just went, right, pick a month and a year. You went, and you just shot me with that one, yeah.
Yeah, it's been nice reminiscing about when I became a dad and what I was doing. It'd be nice to remember Star Wars and Constantine because it don't get enough love when it should do.
Yeah, and you forget how old it is. It's like, if you'd have said, how old's Constantine? I would have gone, 8, 10 years maybe. I literally would have said that because it feels like it is. You don't watch it and think this is a pushing 20-year-old film. I looked at it and I was thinking, it's a banger, isn't it? Special effects are cock on. Everything's sound. And it's a great story. I would not think it was that old. But yet, here it is. 16 years old. Ridiculous. And I think it was nice to, like I say, it was nice to just remember it and just to bring it forward again and be like, Constantine, good film. And like I say with the games, remembering Star Wars and all the rest of it. I think the other games weren't that. To be fair, weren't that really interesting. Yeah, I think Star Wars was definitely the standout in that selection. Although both the Star Wars, to be fair, because Republic Commando is a very, very popular game. I think I own it on Steam. I'm sure I own it on Steam, and I'm sure I've played a bit of it, and I think I remember enjoying it, but then not playing it again. I think that's how it rolls with a lot of Steam games, anyway, isn't it? You play a bit, and then you're like, "No, I'm done now." And you just forget about it. Oh, hopefully we'll have an equally interesting year and month for the next Back in Time. We'll ask a random person to suggest one, and then we'll as long as we haven't already done it, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, they could, feel free to comment anything to give it the year, and we'll see what we can do.
Maybe it was a month or year that was important to you. I don't want anything after 2005 really, because we're looking to reminisce, not talk about films that we can remember watching like very very recently. I think 2005 would be our earliest year. We will cover the other months in there at some point, but there's plenty of time because I do quite enjoy the Back in Time. I think it's quite fun to look at the old songs and be like, oh, that's really old. I think we'll try and get back into the 90s maybe for the next one. But yeah, that's good. It's a good choice.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for joining us on this trip down memory lane. I hope you had as much fun as I did. We live in 2005. Let us know what your age was all the way back, not even just a little bit back, 16 years ago in 2005, and what you were up to. Yeah, a long time. It don't feel like it. Feels like it. That's really cool. There you go. Yeah. As always, I've been Nathan.
And I've been Lee.
And we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, I did the bye-bye. That's yours, isn't it? Sarah. Bye.
Sarah.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. Love you.